the College SportsCast. I'm Brad, and we are presented by the Fanboys. Hey guys, welcome back. So it's College Sportscast, and we are doing our Hot Topics show. We do have a new segment tonight. I have tentatively named it Diamond Dig-Ins. So this is going to be our first segment for college baseball this year. The opening weekend was this past weekend for college baseball, so we're going to kind of dig in to some college baseball. But we're going to start out with some news from today, actually. We'll start out with that. John, by the way, I didn't introduce John. We got John Roberts with us. Hi. And this is John. Hey, people who are
I'm back.
Yeah, people who are been around the show knows John. He's been on the show. He took a little time off last week.
There's a lot of things going on, so it was good to take a short break because I had a lot of things going on and all different things, and now we are back on the show, and baseball season has started. All things are right with the world.
Well, the first thing that I want to dig into is, so last Thursday we had Ron Slay on our show, and he was live with us here at College Sportscast, and he participated in our game day pick'ems. So I kind of want to go over our picks. So,
okay,
John Roberts wasn't on the show that night. That was one of the nights he had taken off. But so we picked 7 games. We didn't pick a lot because we had some banter and talk with Ron Slay before our picks. And 4 of these games are SEC games because that's what he covers mostly, is for Ron Slay. But we started out with a Kansas game, and all 3 of us, Jason, Ron, and myself, picked Kansas. So we were all 1-1 in that game. On Sunday, the NC State North Carolina game, Jason and Ron both picked NC State. I picked North Carolina because I thought North Carolina, it was a must win for them. They lost. They're 2-1. I'm 1-1. We all 3 picked Houston. Houston and Memphis played on Sunday. And so all 3 of us picked Houston. Then we got to the Tennessee-Kentucky game. Ron Slay's a former Tennessee player. I'm a Kentucky fan. We had a whole lot of fun with that pick the other day. I, of course, picked Kentucky. Jason and Ron picked Tennessee, and Kentucky won the game. So I got one back on them. And then Missouri, who did they play over the weekend? They played A&M?
Maybe.
Yes. Yes, they played A&M. That's who, because they're playing Mississippi State tonight. They played A&M, and Missouri won that game, so we all got that game. And then tonight, there's 2 games going on. There's one in overtime right now, Mississippi State and Missouri.
Yeah.
Do you have a score on that? I got 62-60.
I don't have that.
I got
one up, 'cause
62-60. I
have
might be a few seconds behind. So
I have the Tennessee game, and then I have 3 baseball games going right now.
well, the Tennessee game, we also picked. I threw this one in as a surprise with Ron. He wasn't expecting me to throw in. He was expecting the Tennessee-Kentucky game, but the away game at Texas A&M in College Station, he wasn't expecting. So I threw that at him, and he picked the under, okay? And I checked it before the game tipped, and Mississippi State was favored by 2.
Right.
All right. So the score right now happens to be 62-61 with like 2 minutes to go. So
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly 60, so I'm assuming that free throws are happening right now.
Yeah, it could be. So, it's that close of a game. I actually picked Tennessee in this game.
Oh, you're talking about the Tennessee game. I thought you were talking about the Mississippi State Missouri game. They're both almost the same, the identical
Yeah,
score.
they're almost identical scores.
Versus 62-60. They're about a minute apart in game time.
Right.
Well, one's
the
actually
Mississippi State Missouri game's in OT. Yeah.
Right.
So, and then all 3 of us picked Missouri. So I just kind of wanted to give a rundown, and we will. I'll come back to this here in just a few minutes when these games end, so I can, basically say how we ended up.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha. Because there's still a minute and something to go in these games. So, and there could be like a bunch of fouls, and I'm sure because they're close games.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. The next big topic that I want to get to today, the news come out that Alabama guard Brandon Miller brought the gun to the scene that ended the life of Janaea Harris. So I just wanted to get your take on that, and what do you think? So Brandon Harris has been in cooperation with the police. There has been no charges on Brandon Miller so far. He doesn't seem to be in any trouble with it. Not exactly sure, but so
so if he's got, and I don't know anything about the situation other than what I'm hearing right now. So if he's got the carry, let's just say he's got the carry permit. And I don't know because he's 18, and I've got to figure out what the gun laws here are in Alabama, but I would assume that for the most part, everything that you can do as an adult in the state of Alabama is at 19 to 21 versus 18.
Right. Because, it is most of the time.
Yeah. Tobacco is 19. Of course,
even custody laws in Alabama is 19.
Right. So so as far as guns, because I don't really mess with them, so I don't really know 100% the gun laws here too. So as far as guns, I know that. I know of people that are minors that go hunting, but I don't know of when you could be in possession of said weapon, outside or anything like that. So like if, say, he had the ability to have a gun, and then say the other individual who was charged with the actual crime, because he's the one that discharged the weapon, if he stole the weapon, then Brandon Miller was doing everything legally. Then if you can prove that the weapon was stolen, then I wouldn't have presumed that there would be a ton of things that would go against him. But because he knows the individual that's there that did everything, then that's you kind of, there's going to be a big burden of proof to try to overcome.
It's Brandon. It was Brandon Miller's teammate at the time.
Correct. And that's why I said since he knows him, so it's going to be a little difficult there. And I don't know. And again, I don't presume to know all the gun laws here, even in the state of Alabama. So I'd have to go look up all that stuff. But it's not good if he's the one that brought it. So that's not good. And
I mean, it's definitely a mark on him for sure, no matter if he gets charged with anything or not. It doesn't look like he's going to. I mean, he's been in cooperation with them the entire time, and nothing, So
and seeing that I had heard rumors of this a while ago, and that now it's finally coming to light and being substantiated, stuff like that. That if I was hearing rumors of it, then that means that there's a lot of other people that knew, that were closer to the situation, that knew what was going on, and he would have been allowed to, obviously allowed to play during the whole time, never received any form of,
they cut ties with Miles.
Right. They did. They cut ties with the other player, but they did not with Miller at the time. So, and Miller has been around the entire time. And so, unless there is more that comes out, like, I don't know how much is actually going to, I don't really affect him.
And the reason why this news come out today is there was a hearing in the case,
and so when something like that public,
it came out in court. So, so this was not something. This was not something that broke through the media or something like that. This actually there was a hearing in the case today, a preliminary hearing, and this news was came out there in the court.
Right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to straighten that out, because this wasn't like some kind of hearsay and possible somebody heard something, and this actually came out in the court hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to move on to some hot topics. I just wanted to bring it up. Brandon Miller is a tremendous player for the current, I think they're number one, or did they drop to number two?
They dropped to number two. I think Houston became number one again, but they are currently slated as either
number one or number two
overall for the NCAA. But they're
and Brandon Miller's the leading scorer and the leader of the team right now as a freshman. So
correct.
It's a big deal when it comes to the team itself. At least that much. I don't know if there's any responsibility there with what happened. So
there'd be a lot of things, like as far as projection of the trajectory of that team, that if he were to have to leave the team or whatever, be dismissed or whatever, then the trajectory of that team would not be national championship. It might be Sweet 16 or less.
Right.
Like you're not looking at Elite Eight or Final Four type team, which they have currently with Brandon Miller on the team as is.
Right.
But he's also been playing, like I said, I've heard rumors of this over the last little bit, and he's been playing with, having to juggle that. So it hasn't truly affected his playing, because he hasn't dropped off.
To be so far, yeah.
But now that it is public, and if he's still,
because he's going to start getting a lot of questions and stuff now. I mean, because
so
it came out
now that it is public, then now you see what his production does. Now, I'm not trying to make light of dismissive anything that's going on the outside. I am just strictly talking about
basketball
on court.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So my next bit of news today, the AAC released their 2023 football schedule. And I'm bringing this up because the AAC is losing a few members this year.
Correct.
Cincinnati. Trying to think of the three teams. Houston, and
oh god,
and there's another team.
I thought there were
besides
four,
BYU. No, BYU won, but they're coming from they're an independent.
Independent. Okay, so Cincinnati, Houston, and
trying to think of the other team.
I don't know.
Off the top of my head.
UCF.
Yes, that's right. And Central Florida, UCF. That's the three teams that are going into the Big 12. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, so the AAC is bringing in six teams from Conference USA. So they are going to be a 14-team league in football next year. And they released their schedule today. They're bringing in Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA.
Peter Burns School.
Yeah, Peter Burns School. Out of all of those teams are coming from Conference USA currently.
Right. Correct.
And they are set to join the AAC July 1st of this year. Right. So I just wanted to bring that up. I think it's interesting. What do you think of the trade-off with Houston and UCF and then adding these six teams?
I mean, it's a natural progression right here. And with, teams like, again, going with close to home here, UAB. The one thing that I do like about this is that UAB is going to get more exposure with just being in a bigger conference than Conference USA. Two, it renews an old rivalry with Memphis that UAB has had for a long time. Has been a rival with Memphis in basketball, football. It's going to be, it's going to bring back an old rivalry. What's great about UAB is that they have got three coaches that I think that can handle being in, a much bigger league. Now, as far as baseball might have actually been better in Conference USA, but again, being in a bigger conference, being in one that if you were to list a Power 6 or a sixth conference, AAC is that other one.
In football.
And if you're, in football. Yeah. But if you also are going to talk about, again, with football, and you're going to do any of the big three sports, football, baseball, basketball, it's still good to be in that conversation. So with a school like UAB, I do, again, I'm going to really, really stick with UAB in this whole situation. So they now have, in football, they've got Trent Dilfer as their head coach.
Head coach, right. Mm-hmm.
Basketball, they've got Andy Kennedy.
Right.
Baseball, they've got Casey Dunn. Casey Dunn's pedigree is that he played at Auburn back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was drafted after his junior year, I believe. He came back, started coaching high school in the city of Birmingham. He was on his way to be a volunteer assistant at Auburn when Samford called for him to be the head coach. He then built Samford to be a powerhouse, as far as in the OVC and, any other conference that they were in, the Southern Conference, the OVC and whatnot. They have made it, as far as baseball, into regionals and nearly won the Florida State Regional a couple of years ago. They got real close.
Right.
Some players like Sonny DeShera and a few others that have transferred out of Samford. Samford's still pretty good. But, they had some players like Sonny DeShera and a few others that went to Auburn and went to other places once Casey left. And those were some really good players elsewhere. So now he's got his hands on UAB. I think this is year 2 with UAB. They started out 3-0, going down to Mobile and playing in, I believe, a round robin style tournament down in Mobile. And I don't remember the name of the tournament that they were in, but it included South Alabama and a few other teams. And they did really well. So
Right.
I like this. I like where they're going, especially with their 3 main sports right there with baseball, basketball, and football.
Right.
And I'd like to see how they're going to go. And I mean, if you're really looking
Do
at
you
it,
think those teams in football, the AAC the last few years has been that 6th conference, okay?
right, correct.
Will those teams keep the AAC as the 6th conference?
Probably not right away. Because Houston was built up having Dana Holgerson as their head coach,
Cincinnati
and then you had
was
Cincinnati
with
had
Fickle.
Luke Fickle, and they actually made it into the college playoff. Whether you believe they should have been there or not, they
Right.
made it. They made it in there, and then promptly
They're
got
the only outside Power 5 conference team that has
correct.
made it.
Correct. Now, you're taking some of the best football teams out of the Conference USA, because I mean, if you really think about it, so UAB has been in contention for the championship the last 4 or 5 years. With them, teams like North Texas,
Well, now
FAU,
UTSA has been pretty good in football.
I said, hold on.
Yeah.
With them, the other teams that they've been playing or been vying for in that conference championship have been FAU, North Texas, and UTSA.
Yeah.
So they're bringing the best of the football with them.
Right.
This year for basketball, I believe North Texas,
FAU and North Texas are 1 and 2.
FAU, North Texas are 1 and 2. UAB is number 3.
Yep.
So you're taking the best of the basketball. And then in baseball, I'm not 100% sure, so I have to go take a look at it. But I would imagine the way that Casey Dunn's going to build this thing, they were going to be one of the best baseball teams, in that conference. If you give him a couple years, so now you just give him a bigger conference and a bigger name brand to display on the side of their sleeve, where they put their conference affiliation with it, and you can go recruit a little bit wider to go get your players. So,
right.
But that's what's kind of cool about this. I really do like the idea that this is happening. UAB's got a brand new baseball, or they're rebuilding their baseball stuff. They play in a minor league ballpark pretty much half the season. Their football stadium is, just got a brand new football facility that they're playing in, and basketball is still the same basketball arena, but it's still
Andy Kennedy's a really good coach. I mean, they got some good coaches. UAB is set up with some good coaches.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're really they're set up for success, especially making this jump. So I really love the move for UAB, and again, I'm hyper focusing on UAB because, again, living in Birmingham, that's the one that I'm going
away from campus.
My day job puts me right by the campus, twice a week. So I definitely,
and that's a team that you can easily cover too.
Yeah, I could. And I mean, look, my wife's a graduate of UAB, so it makes it real easy.
Yep.
So,
all right, so we're gonna get into our new segment right now. Like I said, I'm calling it Diamond Dig-Ins, and we're gonna dig into some college baseball. The opening weekend was this past weekend. College baseball started on Friday. You had some round robin tournaments, and then there's some teams like Auburn, Kentucky, and a few teams in the SEC that wasn't a part of that had their own series this past weekend. And John is a huge baseball fan, and the ranked teams that I noticed. So there was one. I think there was only one team that technically lost a series. Tennessee didn't really play a series; they were in a round robin.
Right.
But there was one team that was 1-2, I think, in the SEC. I believe.
1-2 in the SEC.
I think all the other SEC teams were at least 2-1.
Right, and I've got to go, and I had it pulled up just a second ago as to what the rankings and everything were here, and I've completely gone blank on that. But so
And Tennessee was the second ranked team in the country in college.
They were the second ranked team in the country. They went 1-2, but they went 1-2 against some really good competition, going against like Arizona and Grand Canyon. I mean, look, Arizona and Grand Canyon, you cannot you can't sit there and say, Grand Canyon, never heard of them, right? They've got some major baseball talent. In fact, they've got a son of a former major leaguer that might go as high as the number 1 pick in the draft on the team. So
they're not ranked.
Right, they're not.
And neither is Arizona.
Right, and Arizona's not ranked. They're one of those teams that were kind of a wait and see to see how they are. I mean, typically Arizona, some of the Pac-12 teams like Arizona State,
well, that's
UCLA,
baseball area
USC,
out there as well. So,
and you've got Oregon State that's won the national championship multiple times recently. You've got UCLA that's been in the championship game multiple times recently. You've got Oregon that sometimes is kind of in the neighborhood. Arizona State, who was a powerhouse back in Arizona State was powerhouse back in the 90s. USC, which always seems to have, when you play in warm weather climates, you're going to be probably fairly good,
right?
Because generally, the winner of the championship for baseball comes from a warm weather climate. Okay, it's only been a few times that it hasn't, and especially recently. And I don't remember anybody until you go back to 2008 with Fresno being in Northern California, and really, well, I mean, look, Oregon State and Fresno are like your two teams that are, quote unquote northern type teams that have won it. Michigan was in the championship game; they were a northern team, but beyond that, I mean, it's been mainly in the South and primarily in the Southeast. So with the Southeastern Conference winning,
well, who this past weekend impressed you, I guess, the most?
Okay, so impressing me as in a team that was, maybe not picked to win, that did something that you weren't really expecting, or impressed me like, hey, I expected them to do well, and by God, they did. So like teams like LSU, and especially like I believe their Friday night starter Skeens looked very impressive. Now LSU had one of their key hitters and their key guys that they had brought into the fold got hurt, and that was Tommy. I believe it's White. I'm trying to remember what his the way we used to call him. But anyway, it's like Tommy Tanks or whatever we call him. But anyway, he is the third baseman for LSU. He came from NC State. He had dove back. He was at first. He dove back with a pitcher doing a pickoff move and ended up jamming his shoulder, popped the shoulder out at first base. And so when you pop it out, and it was his right shoulder, which is his throwing shoulder, generally when you pop it out, it's easy to pop out again. So that right there automatically is probably some torn ligaments in the shoulder. he may not necessarily have to require surgery or anything like that, but he's probably not playing third base the rest of the year. He's probably just limited now to being a DH, which is fine, but they're going to have somebody play third base.
Right.
To kind of change up the lineup a little bit. And he's probably
but
out
they
for
are
at least a
they
couple
are
of weeks
probably one of the most talented teams in the country. So
yes, one of the best teams that money can buy, because they definitely brought a ton of talent in that were already proven talent elsewhere, including their Friday night starter, who I think was a two-way player at Air Force prior to this year. So
right.
This is basically an all-star team put together, and that is why they are ranked number 1. And they went 3-0 this weekend, albeit against way lesser competition, but they went 3-0, and 3-0 is 3-0, and that
I'll
will
give
keep
you a
them at number
team
1.
that impressed me. They went 2-1 over the weekend in their round robin, but I thought they beat teams above them.
Okay,
and that's TCU.
TCU, yes, because
I thought TCU looked like they had a pretty good weekend.
Looked really well, especially with blowout wins against Vandy, who then turned around and blew out and played really well the rest of the weekend.
Right.
But TCU, did really well this weekend as well, and I think they were playing in which tournament in Texas were they in? They had the one that was in Houston or the one that was in Arlington?
That I'm not sure. That they were in the same one with Vandy, because they beat Vandy like 12-3 or something like that on Friday.
Yeah, and it was and it was I believe it was maybe the one that was in Arlington, the State Farm Classic.
And Vandy last week was the 10th ranked team in the country.
Correct.
According to I'm looking at off of ESPN. So
right.
There's a bunch of polls in baseball. So they could be different.
That is true. There are a bunch of polls. That was one of the things that we discussed with Coach Thompson. It was like, hey, you're in one of these polls, and we also talked about it with Peter Burns, and he was like, yeah, there's so many you don't even know what's going on.
Hey, Drew England's with us. Drew says that they were. I'm trying to get them up. They were in
Globe Life Park.
Life Park.
Yeah, so then they were the one that was Globe Life Park. That's the one that is in Arlington. That's Arlington. Okay, so then they were at that's the State Farm one that I'm aware of. So
he says Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Vandy.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought.
TCU.
Yeah, that's the one that was in. It's the one that's in Arlington. Yeah. So Auburn, I think, was in that last year. So with, I believe, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma was in it because Auburn got beat by Oklahoma.
For straightening this out.
Auburn got Auburn got beaten by Oklahoma in Frisco a couple years ago. Either way, they got beat by Oklahoma.
So Drew's an Oklahoma fan. He'll probably
right. He'll tell me which one it was. Yeah.
There
it goes. Yeah, because I do remember Auburn getting beat by Oklahoma and just being frustrated that they I think it was somewhere about mid-game when Auburn just the wheels came off and Oklahoma just absolutely started.
Drew says last year. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yep. Yeah. And Oklahoma made it to the national championship.
He's a big baseball and football fan and basketball as well. I think,
Oklahoma was in the national championship series against Ole Miss. So that was they were really good last year, and I think they've got several at least a few players back from that team. But they've got they're missing several players that got drafted. But
right. But I just wanted to bring up that I was kind of impressed with TCU over the weekend. Right. I know they did drop a game. They went 2-1 in that round robin. But beating Vandy, in that opening day, I thought was an impressive win.
Yeah. So, did you play at Oklahoma, Coach? Just curious. He said he played D1 baseball, so I was only a manager for a D1 baseball team. I was just a manager. The pictures, if you see a picture of a guy hitting, I'm the guy sitting.
So Coach Drew
behind.
said he. Yeah.
So
Cool. Cool.
Oh, Coastal, even better.
Coastal.
That's also a nice baseball school. They have they either won it or they made it to the championship series not too long ago. I think they won it. I think they're one of the few that have.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
Well, I know he's all the time talking about baseball and softball. So
it's a rich baseball program over there in Coastal Carolina. So,
okay.
But yeah. Anyway,
I'm learning with some of this baseball and softball stuff. So I'm
right.
letting y'all lead. I'm still learning.
Teams that were very impressive or whatever. I mean, look, TCU is one of them. They were impressive. LSU did exactly what you thought they were going to do. A&M did what they were supposed to do.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, look, they came out, they did what they're supposed to do. Funny thing was, so Mississippi State's playing VMI, has a 10-1 lead. They lost 14-13 in that game. Had a 10-1 lead. Yes.
Their relief pitching must not be too great. At least not that day.
Well, I don't. So last year, one of their biggest problems was pitching because they lost a few key pitchers early in the season to injury, and several people from the national championship game, the championship team the year before. Once some of those pitching guys went down, it just completely exposed them to being to who they really were last year, and it was they just never had the pitching to get to be in any of these games. That's why they weren't as good last year, why they didn't make the SEC tournament, why they didn't make anything because of it.
So Drew says they won the national championship in 2016.
Well, that's Coastal Carolina won the national championship in 2016.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Who he played for. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but with Mississippi State, one of their big deficits right now is pitching, especially just, top to bottom from starter to closer. They just don't have the pitching or at least the experience yet. Yeah. So they just didn't that was a team that just absolutely fell apart because they don't have the pitching yet.
Right.
But other teams that impressed me, again, LSU did what they were supposed to do. A&M did what they were supposed to do. Arkansas is now having to deal with, they had a guy go down in the early, in January or whatnot, or even I can't remember if it was in the fall or if it was in January, went down with Tommy John, and that was supposed to be, I think, the Friday night starter. So
right.
Wake Forest looked pretty good. Thank you.
That's true. Just said that. Yeah.
Right. So Wake Forest, that is true. Wake Forest looked pretty good. I think they're going to have some hitting. But I mean,
Virginia's been scoring a whole bunch of runs. I know that. I've seen some scores with them. They look like, but I don't know who they're playing.
Right. Typically, Virginia is one of those teams that pitches really well. We'll see how they fare when they play against stiffer competition. Teams like North Carolina had at least a loss that didn't look too good. Georgia lost to Jacksonville State. Won one of their games. Let's see. Auburn took care of business Friday and Saturday, but then Sunday they got their.
But Auburn was playing a Big Ten team. They were playing Indiana.
Right. Correct. And yes, Drew is talking about today. Lamar played A&M and beat them 7-4, which was something because we are. I was listening to the 11.7 podcast today that they were doing from, I believe,
A&M
Sunday or Monday.
it was
It was
3-0,
released on Monday,
so over the weekend.
and they were talking about. I think they had posted up on one of their posts earlier today. It was which ranked team was going to lose today, and they had the A&M Lamar, and that was the poll that they had put up today, and I was like, yes, that one. That's the one that's going to happen, and it did.
Wow,
it did.
Central Arkansas beat Vandy today, 5-4. Okay,
and that was actually also another one that was a part of that poll. So they had Central Arkansas and Vandy. They had Lamar and Texas A&M. I'm trying to remember who the other ones were, but I had chosen that. That it was going to be
Vandy's
Lamar
one of those
Texas
teams
A&M.
that they were in hopes of having and they still can. I mean, it's early in the season and all that good stuff. But
look, these midweek games, especially when you're playing decent competition on Tuesday, like, look, you're throwing as an SEC school or as a ranked school, as a big Power 5 school, you're throwing a guy that might be your third option or fourth option out of the bullpen over the weekend.
Right.
He's not your main guy, but you're going to be a guy. I mean, they're a starter. They're trying to groom them to hopefully be a weekend starter sometime later, but they've got to find who their fourth
Greenville
guy is.
Sports Media, I think, is Jay, by the way.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is Jay.
But the big teams don't necessarily play it the same way that the smaller teams play it. They may be throwing a guy because, look, if you think about it, on Tuesday, it's the bullpen session for your Friday night starter.
Right.
Okay. So they could potentially throw their Friday starter in a bullpen session, and they may have an elite Friday guy that can get them really good 2 to 3 innings against, a team like an A&M or an Auburn or an Alabama or something like that. So these teams play it, again, if you want to go back to the old expression, it's their Super Bowl or their World Series or whatever big game. It's that. And it is because to them, they want to go up there. It's a feather in their cap to say that they beat the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
And whereas, the number 5 team in the country is, hey,
they're saving their stuff for the weekend.
We're playing a good team that's going to show us something, but we're not necessarily playing. We're playing, our backup second baseman, our backup left fielder,
and they're saving their pitcher for the weekend and the best pitchers and stuff. Yeah,
our DHs, our catcher is playing. It's our backup catcher in this game. Stuff like that. So so you're going to get a lot of that going.
Yeah.
So, but that's why you see some of these big name teams lose their midweek games against, teams that you don't think they should be winning against. And I mean, if they went a 3-game series head to head on the weekend and they went for it, the big name team, the P5 school, the one that's ranked in the top 10 is going to wax the floor with some of these schools. Now, if it's
pretty sure Drew's talking about softball with the Clemson is overrated thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, Clemson baseball has been pretty good for a long time, and the legendary Jack Leggett is actually, I think, a voluntary assistant for their team for Clemson now with the first year head coach, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the name is of the head coach.
Well, Clemson has got a pretty good team that's trying to compete with Oklahoma in softball right now. So
I got you. Well, I mean, so is Alabama and Auburn
right,
several other SEC schools. So
I know. I'm pretty sure that's what the whole Clemson is overrated things about.
Yeah. So, but anyway, what impressed you this weekend?
I mean, like I said, I thought the TCU run was pretty good.
Gotcha.
I kind of agree that Wake Forest looked pretty good over the weekend. I'm a Kentucky fan, and Kentucky baseball has never been all that great. Okay, they've been kind of mediocre for a long time, and
had some good players come out.
They've had some good players, and they've had a few good teams that that you could get behind, and they're always close. But doing this, I've decided to try to pay attention a little bit. So I know over the weekend they went to North Carolina. They played Elon.
Yep.
Elon over the weekend. What looked like, of course, and I don't know that much about Elon. Okay, so and they may be terrible.
Usually pretty decent.
Okay, but
they're not.
So what looks like in their 3 games over the weekend, it looked like Kentucky's pitching was pretty solid.
Okay,
they give up 3 runs in 3 games. Okay,
yeah,
but they did lose a game 2-0 on Friday, and then they won, I think, 5-1 and 4-0 or something like that.
The only thing to be really weary about as far as the game that Kentucky lost was that they lost the Friday game. Not that they lost the Saturday or the Sunday, because Sunday you can just chalk it up like, look, there's a lot of things that happen on Sunday. If a team goes out and wins, pretty easily, Monday or Friday and Saturday, Sunday is usually the most unproven or the most unseasoned player or pitcher is what they're throwing. It's probably a freshman, or it's a guy that might have been
2-0 tells me that they didn't have any hitting.
They didn't have hit.
They didn't have any
Elon. That Elon threw. That Elon may have had a guy, because they may have one guy that's really good, right? Yeah, they can, because most of these small schools too will have, or a smaller school will have, one guy that's usually really good as far as, maybe a Friday night guy or something like that. So that's something that if they go toe to toe, they can go in a 1-game situation because they've got one guy that can go head to head with any of these P5,
and I agree with that. And they may have one, real good ace, and it just tells me that Kentucky's hitting was non-existent Friday night. They were beat 2-0. They had no runs, so it tells me. And when you only give up 2 runs yourself, they had to have some pretty decent pitching even in that game.
Right. Because you did enough to put away their bats. So yeah.
Right. So I don't really know. I just know, from the outside looking in, I feel like that their pitching was probably good over the weekend.
Another team that was,
and their bats hopefully will wake up.
That was impressive was Florida. Mm-hmm. They've got some pitching, and they've got some dudes that can hit. They're just all around pretty good. They're pretty darn good baseball team down there in Florida, down there in Gainesville. But yeah, they did they looked pretty good.
Is Kentucky even rated in baseball?
No.
I don't think so.
No, they're not. I did laugh. Miami got beat this weekend, and that was funny. I thought that was funny. What was also funny was Tennessee. Tennessee was funny. And it was funny for
I don't know if this was real or not.
A variety of reasons. Okay.
I don't know if this was real or not. I even saw some stuff talking about that they should fire the coach, which I thought was really funny. The Tennessee
overreaction.
I know, but that's the reason why I thought it was hilarious, because I even seen some stuff from fans that they should fire the coach all of a sudden, which I thought was hilarious.
Ole Miss wanted to fire their coach last year.
Yeah,
then they won the national title.
Yeah.
Mississippi State wants to fire their coach this year, and they won it, just a little over a year ago. So, I mean, fans are a funny, fickle little group there.
I know. That's the reason why you was talking about it being funny, and I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was funny because I saw a group of fans that were saying that Tennessee baseball should fire their coach.
Yeah, they should fire their coach. Yep. Only when he throws bats at the other team, because that is also something that he has done.
Right.
Just throwing that out there. It wasn't. Yes, it was. It was Auburn. Auburn hit a home run against them. They flipped their bat. The bat bounced all the way to the dugout. The coach didn't like that. Picked it up, threw it back across as like it kind of in the direction of where the team was when the team came to celebrate when the guy crossed home plate.
Oh yeah.
And so as the team's going back into the dugout, he just chunks the bat, and it too takes just starts bouncing, rolling and stuff like that. And it goes a lot further than I think he was intending on it going. I think he was trying to get it out to, closer to home plate, and it ended up bouncing almost all the way to the dugout. Just like the guy that flipped it, I mean, look, he's flipping it. He's doing whatever.
Because
I don't know if he's intending to throw it all the way to the Tennessee dugout, but it gets all the way there.
Right.
I don't think the intention. I don't think he knows where he's throwing it when he flips it, and then all of a sudden it bounces all the way to the feet of the dugout, the feet of of Vitello standing at the edge of the dugout. He picks it up, walks, and then just chunks it. And of course, it, cartwheels all the way and makes it all the way to the other team as they're walking back into their dugout. And that nearly started some stuff. But that was kind of funny too. Just watching that, just going, well, this is going to be great.
So we'll do this Diamond Dig In talk probably on most Tuesdays through the college baseball season. We may add in some interviews during this, or make it a whole show about just baseball with an interview at times. So we are tentatively planning Tuesdays as kind of our baseball talk show. Of course, right now we've got some March Madness stuff that's soon to be going on. So I'm still including that at least through March in our Tuesday shows as well. So I do want to throw that in. We are talking about some hot topics and news and probably some basketball stuff as well. So
I have looked into that there, Drew. I have looked into that. I was looking at some other people that were related, that were a part of that group, and not necessarily going after the big fish right away, but that is a possibility. There are other strictly baseball people that we have gone after and that we will have on that have said yes, that they will be on the show, but we just haven't lined up a date for them. And
we've been kind of waiting for the season to start.
Right. We were waiting on the season to start, and we were going to try to get somebody on today, but it turns out that they've got a conflict on Tuesdays. So this is going to be one of those where we do baseball on another night with this person. Because Tuesdays may not be the best for this person, but we've got other baseball guys that we are going to be getting on, former players.
Do you know Kendall Rogers? Do you know who he's talking about?
Oh, I know exactly who it is. This is a guy that does D1 baseball. So
okay.
I
told Rogers, you I'm learning. So
Kendall Rogers and Aaron Fitt are like the two main guys, and then you got Rooney who's up there, and you got the former Virginia pitcher that's doing stuff with them right now. So there's several people like that we could go and get. I have looked
Drew, if
into
you
some
can help,
other.
man, and get
Help.
help, get us on, get him on.
No. Drew, you come on.
Yeah. Oh, Drew wants to be on. Drew's already contacted me, so we're going to get Drew on. Yeah, we're going to get Drew on. Drew's a former D1 baseball player.
We're doing this right here live on the air. We're just going, Drew, come on down.
Yeah, so, Drew's going to be on. Yeah. Drew wants to be on. Actually, we've already talked about it. Me and Drew have. So, and I was on his show, the Under Official Review show last week. I filled in for him one day, so he's going to return the favor and be on our show as well. So maybe we'll get him on.
Speaking of under official review, how about the NCAA rules changes to try to speed up football? Kind of bouncing out of subject of baseball.
I haven't seen it, so tell me.
So there are a couple of rules changes. One, they're looking at voting on. One will be can't take consecutive timeouts.
I got the under official review show is the name of the show. He always wants you to put the in there.
Well, it's that are the Ohio State fans. I don't know.
Right. The under official review show.
But anyway, so one of the rules is back-to-back. No back-to-back timeouts. So like if you're trying to ice a kicker, you can't call timeout. Line back up, call timeout again. And go back-to-back on timeouts. 2, the clock doesn't necessarily stop after you get a first down. It may be that it does that maybe like the NFL where it's inside of 2 minutes that it stops once you get a first down. Doesn't stop when you go out of bounds. And again, they may tweak it to where it's like the NFL where, again, inside of 2 minutes, you can go out of bounds. But again, it's a lot of things to kind of hurry the game up.
Well, some of the games this past year were kind of like some of the Kentucky games were 3.5.
And then I think they're also looking at I believe having coaches challenges so that not every play is under review or have some form of.
Zach is Ohio State fan.
There's the
There's the
Zach.
Yeah.
For the co-host.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah. Also, and he's referring baseball rules. That's what made the Tennessee games so funny. That's what made the Tennessee games so funny because of the new baseball rules. For the there's a pitch clock and there's also a batter's clock. So you can't step out. You've got there's like 20 seconds in between pitches or whatever it is, and if it gets inside of a certain time, you can't call time, which is why you see the batter for Tennessee who is screaming time, and the umpire does not award it. So then, the pitcher pitches it. Now, luckily for the batter, it's a ball, and it's ball 4, and he, walks down to first base, but he's pissed and he's yelling at the umpire and whatnot.
Yeah,
because Tennessee baseball can't seem to figure out how not to yell at umpires and get just overly distracted by, small minuscule things. But there were several games in which batters were called out on strikes because they took too long, prior to the pitch. They're the ones that delayed it. And so it was an automatic strike. Well, they had 2 strikes, so they struck out. Or that.
So I guess they're calling balk if you step off more than once.
Well, okay. So there is if you step off more than once, there will be balks called. So there's balks. I believe also you can't just continue to throw over to first base.
Right.
Because again,
4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah. So they limited that. They eliminated again. It's the pitching and hitter have clocks in which they cannot they cannot delay the game. They cannot have a delay of game, or otherwise it's a ball if it's the pitcher, and it's a strike if it's the hitter that is at fault. So, these rules are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there was one dude that got a home run taken away because the umpire didn't like that he flipped the bat. Also,
Really?
you can't use props. Yeah, I don't also. There's also you can't use props for
How can
celebrations.
you take a home run away?
It's ridiculous. Again, it's dumb. It's a lot of things that happened this weekend that were just absolutely.
I mean,
stupid.
if it's in play, it's in play. How do you take that away?
Excessive celebration. You want to take the fun out of the game.
You can't take it. You can't take points off the board, runs off the board. That's ridiculous.
Well,
That's ridiculous.
You can, but it's not necessarily correct. It's not right. I mean, you want to have fun.
It's in actual play of the game.
Well, it's like again.
That would be like in play in basketball, them doing a penalty, and the penalty is we're taking 2 points off the board.
So let's see. I'll put it to you like this: there was one time where an LSU punter faked the punt, ran down the sidelines, did the high step all the way in for 5 yards, got called for excessive celebration before he got into the end zone. The touchdown did not count. It came back, 15-yard penalty on the kicker for celebrating, and that is basically what this home run ordeal is. It's stupid, but it happened. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Stupid, and it happened.
Okay.
So
I just I did play baseball when I was a kid, so I know a lot about baseball when it comes to until I was 15, 16 years old. So I mean, I was not just a little boy. Yeah.
Hey, Brad, I have a belly button.
I'm just saying, I do know a little bit about baseball, but I haven't kept up with college baseball in years. So
college baseball is awesome. So, and I love the fact that over the last several years, especially with the SEC network, the ACC network, all these different networks that have their digital streams, and ESPN Plus that just show all of these games, and you can watch so many more games now than you used to. Back in the day when, and I'm pretty certain that when Drew was playing, that rarely was his games on TV. You know, hell,
most of them wasn't.
Auburn's games weren't on TV, and I was about the same time. Being a manager at Auburn, and we didn't have we rarely had games on TV. But I mean, now you got the digital streams going on, and I'm watching Tulane versus Cal State Fullerton,
which 10 years ago you would have never been able to do.
No, and it would have been a game that you would want to watch 10 years ago too. So because I mean Fullerton just every now and then is just really good, and it's one of those teams on the West Coast.
That's baseball, weather, country. So yeah, absolutely.
That's right. So I mean, that's the thing. Like with these digital streams, man, you can watch so many games. I mean, Samford was playing Jacksonville State, and it was on TV. Of course, I could have driven like 10 minutes down the road and gone and watched that game, but Samford was playing Jacksonville State on TV,
and it was on TV.
Would never have been on TV. So but yeah, I mean,
all right. So I'm going to Slay's and ours picks. How'd those two games end?
So. God, I was watching, and then the game ended, and I looked up, and the game was over. So now I have to go back and figure it out. I had it. I really did. I was watching it, and then all of a sudden it ended, and I wasn't paying any attention to it. So A&M beat Tennessee 68-63.
A&M
And Missouri beat Mississippi State 66-64 in overtime.
Okay, so that gives Jason the win. He picked A&M, I picked Tennessee, and Ron picked the under, which was a 2-point
What
thing.
was the but what was the so he was picking the spread, or what was he?
Yeah.
He
I didn't want to pick a winner. So he picked the under for Tennessee, and they beat the spread. So he didn't get it. The spread was 2 points.
Yeah.
And we all picked Missouri to beat Mississippi State, which they did by 2 points. So Jason, the only game he lost out of the 7 was the Kentucky-Tennessee game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got all the rest of them. He went 6-1. Ron lost the 2 Tennessee games, actually. That's the 2 games that he lost, and he got the rest of them and went 5-2. I lost the North Carolina game and this Tennessee game against Texas A&M, and I went 5-2. So
Gotcha.
Jason won the pick'ems this week, going 6-1 with Ron Slay as our guest. So I just wanted to bring that out and put that in there.
Yeah.
Before we get off the air, it was kind of fun doing that with Ron Slay, and I had a blast. There were 2 guys that played at the same time and played each other, and they were talking about games and SEC games, and me being on with them. It was just really cool to be on with both of them and talking about games and stuff of their past and their careers.
Yeah.
So it was just fun to do, and I kind of wanted to update that. I have the pick 6 thing up real quick. I was going to give you maybe my 6 teams that I think have a chance to win it. With Brandon Miller, Alabama is 1. But I do want to point out that Brandon Miller's got to be there.
Yeah.
I think Kansas, again, unfortunately, is probably a team that has a chance to win it. I'm going to go out on a limb and put UCLA in that group.
Okay.
I think that they are a little bit more of a long shot, but I think they at least have a shot to get to the Final Four. Which is what I have up there for a Final Four, not really to win it all, but a shot to get to the Final Four. I'm going to put UCLA in that group, which would be 3. Houston is a team that I think can probably get to the Final Four. I will put them in that group. I'm not terribly confident about Houston. They struggle on offense a lot, and they play great defense and have a great team. But, if you have a game that you're going to struggle to score 54 points in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have to win a game against a good team probably and really hold them, if you're only scoring 54, 55 points to win. So that kind of scares me with them. I'm trying to think. That would be 4. A few weeks ago, I would have put Tennessee in there, but I'm definitely not putting them in there right now.
No, their offense is terrible. It's not good enough to win a national championship. Plus, they're also coached by what's his face? Barnes, who just can't seem to win.
I am going to put a dark horse in there to get to the Final Four. And I'm going to throw in Indiana. I really like Trace Jackson Davis.
Okay.
And
how about the other team from Indiana? Are they gonna be a part of it? Are they one of your 6?
I struggle with them. It's the guard play.
Yeah.
I struggle with them.
Makes sense. Generally, guard play helps you win.
You know what? I'm going to go with Texas as a sixth.
Shocker.
I think I can't go with Purdue. It doesn't have anything to do with Edie either. Edie's a great player, so.
Oh, there you are. And
yeah, I don't know if that was me or you.
I don't know either, but either way, it was like, I think, and then you were stuck like this.
Well, you got on my end, you were stuck, and I'm not sure.
I was like,
Yeah. But anyway, so
that's weird.
Who's your six?
Oh, me?
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm gonna go Bama with Miller. I think that's a gimme.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Purdue. Just gonna say, hey, just throw it to the big guy, and hope he doesn't get foul trouble. And let's see. Probably gonna.
I'm not going with Duke, Drew.
Again, I don't love the Houston or Tennessee or any of them.
It's the offense.
Correct. It is. It is exactly that.
Purdue could
kind
make
of why I did why Purdue is kind of a weird pick.
But Purdue
the offense
could make the Final Four. I don't really think they'll win it at all, but they could make the Final Four.
Yeah, it's like watching Virginia all over again. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Drew. I can't go. I just don't. First of all, I don't feel like that Shire's done that great of a job that they can make a run. I mean, they might make a run to the Final Four. I mean, they have that good of a team, but I don't think they're going to win the national championship.
True. But I mean, honestly, I don't really have much of a it just doesn't feel like it's that deep outside of those teams that are there.
Yeah.
I don't really have
I really feel like UCLA has a chance with the guys returning made it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so there's your west of the Mississippi pick right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So that's what I tried to do. And then I'll even throw one more in there. I would not be surprised, and I'm not naming the team just yet, but I would not be surprised if there is not a Big East team that makes a run to the Final Four. Creighton is one that I'm watching.
He says UConn.
Yeah, I'm not. UConn could be. I mean, they went through a lull in the season, and I'm just not sure. But I really would not be to see Xavier, Marquette, Creighton, or UConn. At least one of those four teams.
Yeah.
In the Final Four. I would not be surprised.
Wouldn't be shocked.
No, I think they are all really good teams and could have a shot.
Yeah.
It depends on their draw and their bracket and stuff like that.
I have a Southern draw, so does that mean is that good or is that bad?
I have a little bit of a Southern draw. I'm from the South as well.
Depends on the draw. Well, mine's Southern.
Seen you.
What does that mean for me?
It's 17-2 when healthy. I seen you, Drew. I got you. I said, would I be shocked if they
Texas
made a
would have
run
won the national championship if Colt McCoy wasn't hurt? So I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they made a run to the Final Four. I do not think they will win it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, Drew. I gave Duke a little bit of props. you should be happy. Because I can't do. I mean, that's just I can't do that.
I'm just not ready to wrap my head around that we could be penalized for doing this.
No, me either, man. That's not going to be a thing in the SEC. I don't know how the Big 12 has made such a rule. I mean, it's just
soft.
Dumb.
It's soft.
Honestly, I don't know how the Big 12 made such a rule. It's ridiculous. You talking about ridiculous, Drew, when you're talking about the baseball rules. How did the Big 12 make such a rule for Texas? I mean, what? I understand.
Well, they allowed them to have their own network.
I just don't understand. I really don't.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I don't understand it.
This ain't Texas no more. We'll just be like, son, you ain't Texas anymore.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't understand it. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. I am going to bring up the 2023 Home for Our Troops. This is the nonprofit organization for the fanboys for 2023. They help build homes for wounded vets and injured vets and kind of rebuild their lives for them. For every dollar that you give, 90 cents of that dollar goes towards building these homes for the injured troops and injured vets. So we ask that you give, and you can do that at www.hfotusa.org. All right. So Thursday, are you still working on a guest for Thursday, or you're not sure?
See, but I'm gonna attempt to go after the same guy we were trying to get for today. He said that Tuesdays weren't great, so I'll see what Thursday looks like. But it takes him forever to respond. I don't know why. So my conversations have been like, one response over, 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So.
All right. So I have not scheduled Thursday's show yet. If you are paying attention to the schedule, I have not scheduled it yet. And the reason why is because we were kind of waiting to see if we could get a guest or not. So I have not scheduled it yet. But anyways.
I won't be opposed to making the call to the bullpen, though. Just so you know. I won't be opposed to making a call. Are we going this way or are we going this way? I don't know what signal I got to throw up. What signal? Do I go righty or do I go lefty? Do I have to show like that you're a sidewinder or what? Oh, lefty. There we go.
If you're available, Drew, on Thursday, we might have you on Thursday night.
Won't be opposed.
It's a lefty, he says.
3/4. Oh, even better. So in the words of Butch Thompson, in the peacock here, he is this one over here. Okay. He's this one. Okay. Because in the peacock, we've got a guy like Auburn's got the peacock going, okay, with their arms here. Drew is this one over here.
Okay.
He's not fully sidearm here. He's right around this angle right here.
Yeah, 3/4. Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I would be the opposite. I'd be on the right-handed side. Of course, I don't throw very hard, so right. I'm not really sure what my 3/4 is really doing. But I might top out at about 57. Actually, no.
Yeah, he said he's
60,
solid 57 nowadays.
I'm about 63. I think in college I topped out at
my 71. Range right now too.
In college I topped out at 71. I'm
not hitting no 71 now. I can tell you that.
Oh no. That was throw it to the backstop was was me hitting 71.
Yeah, I'm
also
probably
not
in
me
that
throwing
57
3/4,
range.
but I'm a solid, 60, 65 and 65 with an ephus pitch that probably is, maybe tops out at like 42.
Right.
I've got a hell of an ephus pitch, if it still works.
Drew, no kidding. If you are available on Thursday, we are trying to line somebody up for this. Well, we were for today or Thursday.
Yeah.
But you can contact me, and we'll see if we can get you on Thursday.
That's right.
So, yep. All right, we're going to wrap this up tonight. Thank you guys for joining in. We will see you Thursday night. It is normally our college game day pick'em.
Do we call this the Boomer Sooner podcast if he gets on there, because then we you're the Boomer and he's the Sooner.
I'm not a boomer, damn
yes.
it. I'm not a boomer, Dad. My dad's a boomer.
I made a joke. I did it.
Yeah, you're funny. My dad's the boomer. I'm not the boomer. I ain't that old.
Did it. Hey, you're not allowed to say that. That's bad.
Oh, I can say
bad
that.
words. You can't say bad words.
All right, guys, we'll wrap this up. We will see you Thursday night at 8:00, and we will try to have a guest. If not, we'll do our game day pick'ems on Thursday night like we normally do, and we will see you down the road, guys. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.